Ready?
I have no idea what we're doing.
We'll talk about it.
Clearly, we always do.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, this is our 993rd episode,
Right.
and that means we have 7 left, which is means next Saturday, a week from today, we'll do our 1,000th. We're still not sure what we're going to do.
Right. And you may have noticed that I've gotten goofier in the last probably dozen episodes or so. So hang tight because I might get sillier still.
I know. She's starting to get super goofy, especially yesterday's cold open,
Yes.
where she was being super goofy, scratching her head and everything.
Well, I didn't know you were going to put it on.
I didn't do it intentionally.
Yes, you did.
I know. I did. Okay. So what we're going to talk about is real estate, of course, and we're going to talk about this whole idea of recession, home prices, and does recession cause home price decline? Does home price decline cause a recession? Or is that all fake? Now, this is from a report that Vanguard did. Okay. They did it was a massive report that had a ton of data in it. We're just going to focus on a couple things in here. This is the headline, like the big title. U.S. home prices likely will decline 5% on a year-over-year average basis in the second half of 2023. Now, their data, I think, only went to February or something. So they don't, we know prices went up in March and we know they're going up in April. Mm-hmm. And in most markets in the U.S., they've gone up in the last 3 months. Even in Las Vegas, they've gone up the last 3 months. So, and of course, they do tend to fall. They do tend to go down in the fall, right? Why is that?
Well, so, just kind of the cyclical nature of the way home sales go, they go up in the spring because that's when you have the most demand, the most pressure. That's when the most transactions are in the shortest amount of time. And then things slow down over the summer and they continue to slow down through the fall and the winter. And then they pick back up again after the turn of the year. So supply and demand and just that whole mechanism would indicate that prices are, do go down in the fall just because that there's less demand. The thing that kind of bothers me is that, it just seems very self-serving, of these people to say that prices are going to go down in the fall because they're just trying to make themselves sound super smart, and that's great, but they're not saying something that doesn't happen every year.
It happens every year. It was just like the crash we were supposed to have last year. We're still waiting for it. Home prices fell in the fall like they do every year, and they were going up in the spring like they do every year. Here's another quote from the article. The housing downturn is part of the reason why we view a mild U.S. recession in 2023 as most likely. Okay, first of all, this is total bullshit. Housing price changes have nothing to do with a recession. Like, okay, imagine this. You're a business owner. And you go, what's the housing market doing? Oh, home prices are starting to go down a little bit. We need to fire people. We need to shrink the business and close one of the factories. How does it negatively affect the economy? Because somebody bought a house for less money than they would have paid if home prices had gone up. If home prices had gone up, I would have paid $400, but they didn't. They went down, only paid $380. Oh, that's going to wreck the economy because you only paid $3. You got the house cheaper. It absolutely makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. And we also know that in most recessions, home prices actually go up. We know that except for the Great Recession, home prices and real estate really had nothing to do with the recession. So this is just clickbaity. It's just things to get people engaged and to read or to listen to the article or watch whatever it is. It's not real news. It's not good data, and it's not. Those are not valid conclusions.
The other belief, which is also wrong, is that when home prices fall during a recession because people lose their jobs or forced to sell, which is a bit ridiculous. And if that's the case, we just had a pretty big recession, 20-something% job loss in 2 or 3 months in 2020. This thing you might have, unless you were in a coma or, out in space or something, traveling, to the center of the earth, 27% of the people lost their jobs for like 3 months. And even with that, of the 140 million houses in the US, only 4 million people are behind on their payment. So like 2.5%.
Right.
And everybody lost it. Like, oh my gosh, these foreclosures are coming. The foreclosures are coming. And guess what? 97% of those have been resolved through either they sold the house, the bank did a loan mod, or they made up their payments.
Right. So those are all good things for people. We like people being able to stay in their homes and feel safe and feel content in their homes.
Okay, we did have a recession in 2020. We had a recession for 2 quarters in 2020. It was we actually had one in 2021 too, but let's just kind of forget about that because we had 2 consecutive quarters of minus 0.1% growth in the first 2 quarters of 2021.
Right. So look, I think at any point, there's always somebody out there saying, hey, we're on the precipice of a recession. And while that's possible, I guess it's a case of crying wolf. Everybody says this all the time, and the recession sometimes comes and sometimes doesn't. It's not a certainty. And especially there's so much in the works over the next really 16 months that I don't know that a recession really is going to happen, because we've got a lot of economic things happening. We have an election happening. There's just too much going on for anybody to make a recession prediction with any sort of certainty. I tend to think that we are unlikely to have recessions when we're on the cusp of a general election, because we have everybody in politics who wants to keep their jobs, so they do their best to keep the economy going at any cost. When I do understand that whatever cost that is, it's you and I that bear that cost, but the politicians don't care about that. They just care about staying in office and maintaining their influence and their power.
Home prices went up pretty dramatically in 2020.
It was
with
an
the
election
recession.
year. It was an election year.
Yeah, but they didn't go up because it was an election year. It went up despite the recession. And in 2021, we had a recession. Home prices went up. The 2023 recession, we were supposed to have a 22 recession. Then 100% of economists in the beginning of 2022 said we'd have it by the end of 2022. Then that went away, and then it moved to there'll be like a 70% chance we'll have it in the first 2 quarters. Now some people are saying we're in it right now, and then so other people said no, we think we're going to have it at the end of the year. And remember, these are not people just guessing; these are like the normal economists that normally are predicting these. And this is a quote from the article. I actually read that already. Okay.
Well, I just think economists, as educated as they are and as much respect I have for their ability to work with numbers, are not very good at predicting recessions.
No. Okay. But here's something interesting. So I read through this it was a massive article. It had a lot of data. It wasn't just about housing. It had talked about other factors. But this was something I found interesting in the article. Apparently this slipped through. Mm-hmm. Some intern probably got this in there, and whoever the editor was missed it. They were very negative about housing. Mm-hmm. And of course they only predicted a 5% decline in home prices. But this is what they said. Our researchers believe U.S. housing activity will be driven in the next couple of years by one, the structural undersupply of homes that's prevailed since the 2008 global financial crisis.
Translation, not enough houses.
2, robust demographic trends and favorable sentiment toward homeownership because rents are doing what?
Rents are going up. Translation, more household formations and more people wanting to buy houses.
3, strong borrower fundamentals and high equity cushions.
Translation, people have good credit, people have money, and they want to buy houses.
Yeah, and then you have all the other people who are not high equity cushions. You have people not getting foreclosed. Mm-hmm. Okay, then this chart showed up. We expect a housing rebound in 2024 and 2025. Now, remember, we're already like almost halfway through 2023. We're cruising here, getting ready to jump into May. And if you look at their forecast here, it shows it basically starting to improve. Year-over-year changes are going to start improving almost right now. Based on what they're saying, this is the annual percentage change. So they're not predicting any housing crash here. They don't get anywhere near that minus 10% that you see on down there. They're saying 5% year over year.
Right,
So,
but remember these numbers are national numbers, so you're going to have a good number of markets that are going to be up substantially, and you're going to have some markets that will be down, and so they're looking at it nationally. But even nationally, I don't know that 5% is legit. Maybe I'm just colored as far as what's happening here in Southern Nevada and with the demand for housing. But I think even nationally, people have kind of gotten over the high interest rates. They've gotten over a whole lot of things because people are very resilient and people adapt, and people are ready to get on with their lives and take the next step toward their evolution into adulthood and purchase a home.
Right. So what is your sentiment then because you've been like jonesing to buy an investment property pretty hot recently.
I know, but I always am, aren't I?
You kind of are, but would you? We're not saying, and I know actually in the last 2 or 3 videos, like nobody said, I can't believe you're telling people to buy now. We've never said to buy a house now.
Okay, but can I tell them the Chinese proverb?
Tell them the Chinese proverb.
Okay, so there's a Chinese proverb, and please forgive me for butchering this. And no, I'm not going to try it in Chinese. But the Chinese proverb goes something like this: the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time to plant a tree is today. Now, I'm not saying you should go plant a tree or you should buy a house, but I am saying that whatever opportunities there were in the past, those are gone. So when you see an opportunity today, seize it.
And if you're going to plant a tree, get permission from your HOA. Okay, you have to submit architectural review committee. They have to look. They're going to want to know what type of tree and where it's going to go and a bunch of other stuff. And so, if you're in California, that's probably a minimum of $25,000 in application fees and other things. Just plant a tree in your damn yard.
There you go.
Okay. So anyway, this is sort of, there's always been this disconnect. And here's kind of a funny anecdotal story. I was having a conversation with somebody they basically said housing goes down because people lose jobs. And I go, okay, well, what about 2020? And it was like, well, yeah, but no, 2020 was different. Okay, why was it different? Well, because interest rates got really low and it became really easy to buy a house. I go, well, why did interest rates get really low? Well, they're trying to stimulate the economy because remember, it was really bad. I said, so you're saying in there's a recession, they try to stimulate the economy, interest rates tend to drop, which means it's more easy to buy a house. So the home prices basically do go up during a recession. She's like, yeah. And I said, but didn't you just say home prices were going to go down in a recession because of job losses? And he was like, well, yeah. I mean, that too. I was like, well, why did they go down in 2020? Well, I mean, that was different. It's like, oh, come on. It doesn't work that way. We've been being told the housing crash now was 2019, 2020, this is our 5th year of being told the housing will crash imminent. It's imminent. It's going to happen within months. It's going to happen. People were commenting on the blog just 6 months ago. We're watching it happen in real time. And I'm like, there's not much happening right now. Like we're not watching much happen. And in the last 3 months, prices have been going up. That's not a very good housing crash. I did find a chart. We'll do another video on it, but it showed month over month home price for the whole last 15 years. So it includes the housing crash. It looks substantially different now than it looked back then because it's very slight declines month over month, and now they're going up again. So it looks like we had a correction. We had a housing dip because it got a little crazy with interest rates. But that's what Vanguard is basically saying here. They're saying, hey, it's going to be robust in 2024 and 2025. I personally, one of the things I don't, see housing quote unquote crashing is there's a lot of people with cash, and they're not just going to, when they seeing rents go up. I mean, that's really the big thing is a lot of these home price appreciations. A lot of it's inflation.
Right.
And then a lot of it's, they took money out of banks and took money out of the stock market.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's, I'm going to kind of diss the other crash bros, not the housing crash bros, but the stock market crash bros. Those guys have been talking that up pretty loudly, that they're expecting the stock market to reconsider its future either over the summer or in the early fall, and that is a possibility. We've had a lot of turbulence as far as between the banks and and COVID and interest rates and inventory and all these things. So there's been a lot of turbulence. So there is a possibility that the stock market may get more exciting, not in a good way, and that's certainly going to spook people. I mean, the small banks that have had difficulties or have failed have spooked people and have caused them to take their money out of small banks and put them either into large banks or put them into other asset classes. So, having the stock market, do somersaults would do the same thing. It would cause people to take the money out and put it somewhere else. And at the end of the day, let's face it, there really are not a lot of choices of where to put your money, particularly if it's a great deal of money. If somebody has several $100,000, there really are not a lot of places to put it, if you think about it, that are not wasteful, right? And so real estate, it is just a natural place to want to put money, because when it's all said and done, real estate is a tangible asset. It tends to maintain value well. It tends to appreciate over time. It generates income if it's being used for that purpose. And like I said, it's not like a stock that can just evaporate. And particularly people, we know that the wealthiest generation are the baby boomers, and real estate is something that they're very familiar with versus other investment classes. So when other things become a little more turbulent, they do tend to rely on real estate for their investment choices.
Yeah, the baby boomers' wealth, they're the wealthiest generation ever. Something like 1/7 of the entire wealth of the world is the baby boomers, basically. Right. And this idea that, okay, so the stock market's going to crash, whatever. But, the bottom line is those valuations are based on the cash flow that the companies provide back to the owners of the stock, whether it's a dividend or future price appreciation. And then you look at those future price appreciations discounted back for inflation to today's dollars. And, it doesn't, because some pay dividends and that's why they're priced the way they are. Some just, are still growing companies, things like that, or they have a ton of cash. So, I don't know but I do know this. If I own my shares of Tesla, we bought a bunch of Tesla. That was like one of the smartest things we ever did, right? Besides all that Bitcoin we bought back in 2011. The Tesla stock that we bought, I can't rent it out. I can't go take the shares of Tesla and then put a person in them and have them pay me $2,000 a month rent for, 20 or 30, different, tenths of Tesla that I made. But if you buy houses, you can put people in them and they will pay you a couple grand a month to live in the house. And then you also have the house as an asset, which at some point you can sell, you can borrow from. It may be appreciate, it may go down in value, but you're always going to get the $2,000 a month rent that you can do whatever you want with. You can buy another house with it. You can, spend the money. You can save the money. You can buy stock. You can buy more Tesla stock. You can do whatever you want. You could buy more Bitcoin.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or you can go ahead and hit the tip button on the video and contribute to our wardrobe budget. I
think we got tipped once or twice in the entire time we've had the video. I don't even know how that works. I just saw things saying we got tipped, and I was like, it was like $5 or $7 or something. It was kind of cool.
Well, it's going to take more than that for my shopping experience at Nordstrom's.
Yeah, we just went to Nordstrom's today, and there were some high 3-figure clothing items that I was like, well, it's that. How much? How much is it for a jacket? It's a jacket. Okay, they have those at Target for like $25. Okay,
Okay, we digress. So, like I said, we're a little goofy because we've been doing these videos for a while, and we're heading towards our
14 years.
Yes, we're heading towards our 1,000th video. So at the pace that we're going, it'll probably be in about a week. And so we hope that you have subscribed, and if you haven't, do it. And you hit that notification bell, which you have to do in order to get notified of our next video. And just kind of track the amount of goofiness that we're up to for the next week or so. We're having fun with the videos, and we hope you are too. Please leave us comments. Give us suggestions for videos, for video titles that you think are going to get more people to want to watch the videos.
Oh, I got a bunch of them. They're super clickbaity.
There you go.
There's like 2 people who put a bunch of really clickbaity titles, and I'm going to go through and like see if I can actually I'm actually gonna make the thumbnails first, and then if I really like them, we'll just do a video based on that. Because the last couple were clickbaity, and then they all of a sudden got a bunch of views.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we enjoy interacting with you guys in the comments. So please continue with the comments, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.